So welcome back to the BrokerTech Ventures Storyteller Series. Today the topic of our conversation is from the lens of an entrepreneur. And joining me today is the founder of Agentero, Luis Pino, the founder of, Consumer Optics, James O'Hara, and then the founder of Chalkbytes, Stephen Grubb, along with the executive director of the accelerator at BrokerTech Ventures, John Jacobin. Guys, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for hosting.
Hey, you bet. Now the first question, I'm going to put John on the spot for our first question. John, as the executive director of the BrokerTech Ventures Accelerator, and you're an entrepreneur in your own right, what did you see in these three companies that made you bring them in to the BTV Accelerator last year?
So there's no one recipe for a good company, but really what we saw was viability in the product and great leadership. So you take those two things and you add the agencies, and you have a really good recipe right there.
Cool. So let's kick it over to the founders, guys. Now, why did you think that it might be interesting to build a company, to found a company in the InsurTech or risk management space? Luis, why don't we start with you?
Cool. So I truly believe that insurance is a really cool social good. It helps you get through the ups and downs of life. If your car crashes, you can file a claim and those kind of things. But in the eyes of the consumer, that's not usually the case. Usually for the consumer, insurance is something that's very complicated and mingled. We believe that insurance agents do a fantastic job sort of helping consumers out find the right insurance for them. And we, through our data science and algorithms and carrier connectivity, we help the agents supercharge those activities and be super agents.
Sure. James, why InsurTech?
Sure. So it's a great question. So I learned from my father. He was a LexisNexis pioneer, basically got it off the ground. And he said, James, if you want to have a start a company and be an entrepreneur, you have to have a solution which fills an unmet need in a target market. And we looked at the insurance industry, and you might say, hey, so you're narrowing into a vertical space. But that vertical space, insurance, is huge. Obviously, we all know that. That's why we're here today. And so we felt that traditionally, on the carrier side and the distributor side, that technology had not had an impact in this space the way that we felt it has had in other spaces, even in the broader fintech arena. And we felt that having some very specific solutions that filled some very specific unmet needs, as my father shared, that we could be successful, and that's what we found.
Yeah, and Steve, so James just mentioned unmet needs, and your product at Chalkbytes is around virtual reality and training, and a lot of applications over into the safety and risk management portion of the insurance world. Where'd that idea come from?
So first, I like to play with cool toys. And second, I like to solve problems. And anytime you can marry those two together, that's pretty awesome. And I'll just give you an example. So yesterday I had an insurance carrier in our Chalkbytes Corporate Training Center. And we were able to show them that their customers or whoever could be in different parts of the country and come into the same space and learn how to use a defibrillator, or learn how to walk through a warehouse and see if it's OSHA certified. So, the concept of these new technologies solving existing problems, everybody's doing it. There's so many new technologies, 5G, AI, et cetera, and we just looked at this new tech, virtual reality, augmented reality, and said, how does it reduce risk for employees? And so we started it well before we were contacted by BTV. And we're just fortunate that we happened to fit into the construct. So very lucky.
Yeah, so you talk about fitting in that construct. And John, when you're talking to these founders and you're bringing them into the BTV Accelerator, What did you build out to get these founders interacting with one another when their products or companies may overlap and may not?
It's kind of interesting. So there's the Simon Sinek infinite game concept of essentially the goal is to continue playing the game. And I think we do have a lot of there's quite a few startups that somehow tangentially touch the same market, the same customer, the same solution. But I think the reality is that right now nobody can boil the ocean. So together we can I guess global warming's taking care of this, but we can maybe raise the temperature just a little bit. And so, I think that goes back to probably the first thing I said is that proper leadership and just understanding what it takes to truly solve a problem. And these guys get it. They understand exactly what it takes to start and run a successful company. And they're solving, and I think it was brought up a little bit before, is that they're solving a real problem. There's a lot of solutions looking for problems, but there's very few people who focus on the problem. That's really, really important is to fall in love with that problem. And then whatever the solution ends up being, fantastic.
So guys, when you join the BrokerTech Ventures Accelerator, right, and you're surrounded all of a sudden by other founders, you're surrounded by other insurance brokers and insurance agents, and you're able to bounce ideas off them, did it shift your plan or strategy at all once you were able to get feedback from all these other folks in the industry?
I can speak to that. For me, it was helpful. Our chance to be together as a group got cut a little bit short because of COVID. But nevertheless, we got to keep talking to the carriers and the brokers, and their feedback for, when we presented a problem, we thought it might go here, and they suggested it might better go here. And so we didn't have to pivot our business model, but we had to shift a little bit. And that's, I think, exactly what John and Dan and Susan and Ellen all planned for BrokerTech Ventures to be, is something to help us fine tune our products. And it did that for us.
Yeah, so it's an excellent question. I remember the original meeting where we all got together. We'd all been accepted into the cohort, and we met at Holmes Murphy, and we celebrated the first night and had several meetings the next few days. And I got a chance to meet Den Bishop, who's president of Holmes Murphy. And he said, James, look, your company is called Consumer Optics. He said, look, here, my belief, he said, I just put out a book about the evolution of healthcare, which has had great success. And he said, we feel as brokers that we should transition from selling just to the C-level and the HR departments and really focusing on engaging with the employee and adding value to the employee. So I think our experience with BrokerTech Ventures began with that conversation with Den Bishop to say, we really think that we're in the right spot at the right time. If we can help carriers and employee benefits consultants and insurance distributors connect on a one-to-one basis with the employee and the consumer, and for those folks in the ecosystem on the carrier and distributor side to show value to the employee and the consumer, we've made a difference.
Same goes for us a little bit. I really think that the unrivaled access that we've gotten to top people at top insurance agencies, and having that time with them and then being able to implement our solutions at their agencies, that's a very rare opportunity to get your sort of almost 10, 15 of your ideal customers all lined up. And that's what BrokerTech Ventures did for us. And then in addition to that, putting us in touch with other phenomenal entrepreneurs. I've been, for example, talking to James offline, and we like to share ideas on where InsurTech is heading and potential areas of collaboration, just to name one. So it's overall, I think that something that I really, really liked about what they said was that they're trying to make the ecosystem healthier. And that's a little bit what John was also saying with the ocean. This whole notion of making the agent channel more tech driven and putting in this BTV infrastructure to channel all these efforts from startups and matching them with the right agencies and carriers. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Cool. And James, I know on your website and looking at consumer optics more closely, you guys have really been focused, it seems like right away, on that life insurance space. But what other products or insurance products do you think consumer optics fits for?
Sure. So what's great, particularly about group benefits, employer benefits, is that typically life insurance is the lead, right? That's when you look at most American employers, life insurance is number one. But then you get into disability insurance, I would say that's number two. And then your traditional worksite benefits like critical illness, accident, and hospital indemnity. So the commonality is the carrier. The commonality is, here's the carrier saying, these are the solutions we bring to the market table. Life might be the entree point. And then the broker world, again, is operationalizing what the carriers are bringing. So I think this is a really good point about BTV, is that when we joined BTV, there was no such thing as a carrier tower. There was no investment tower. And even in less than one short year, BTV has understood and made a shift to bring other resources to the table. And to answer your question, Tim, life insurance is the first step, but all these other carriers are saying, hey, we're all competing in this space with group benefits and employer benefits, and BTV is gelling this together for our cohort.
Yeah, John, James mentioned it right there about how BTV has adapted to things that you've learned from the other founders that you brought into the accelerator. What else have you learned as the executive director of the accelerator from these great founders that you've brought in?
I would say probably that they're all extremely resilient. When we started our program, there was a heavy dose that was intended to be in person. So the first 5 weeks, and then the summer series. The first global pandemic hit about 2 weeks into the start of the program, and we all had to change. We had to change the way we communicated. We had to change the way that the program was set up. We had to add some things. We had to modify essentially everything anything and everything with regards to the program. And so these founders were able to not only adapt to our program, but adapt everything about their businesses to go from a world where you could get in a car and go somewhere, or jump on a plane and go somewhere, to one where you may be quarantined, you might not be able to get onto a plane. And so the fact that they were able to not only navigate the program, but navigate their business all at the same time was absolutely amazing. And I think it's nobody wants these things to happen. If I would have written a script, I would definitely not have said to throw up a once in 100-year global pandemic into the program. But I think ultimately BTV and also the founders and their teams are going to be much better coming out of this when they can resume business as usual. But I also think it'll change what business as usual means to them, as it has with BTV.
Yeah, that's a great point, John, as some of these adaptations that we've had to make over the past 8 months or so here have actually made us better, and there'll be things that we carry on moving forward. I'm curious, from the founders in the room here, what adaptations have you guys had to make over the last, let's say, 6 months that you think will make you a better company, better founder moving forward?
I can talk from our standpoint. And first of all, we couldn't have dreamed of something occurring that would have made the point for virtual reality training better than what happened this year. So out of lemons, sometimes you make lemonade, right? What's interesting is I had played, we're a tech company, so I'd played around this whole concept of having your team members work from anywhere, being able to hire people from anywhere. But, we were still in one space. And so we did the move, and now people are saying, when are you coming back? And I'm saying, I don't know, maybe never. So we learn to adapt, and we're building a product, and we meet in virtual reality now. We come together, we meet in the same room, we talk, we discuss ideas, and we take our headsets off and back to work on our computers. So it's, for us, it probably turns out to be more of a benefit than a harm for our company.
How about you, Luis?
Very much in line with that. I see the main impacts as twofold. One is internal, so going working remotely. Everybody's been doing really well, actually, working remotely. And also, hey, out of this super complicated situation, it has increased the needs for the insurance agents also to engage more digitally with their clients, and that's where our solution comes in. So business has been up. Luckily, everybody around here is safe. So within this whole very, very complicated situation, we like good entrepreneurs find ways to thrive in whatever situation we're given.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are really in the right spot to thrive in this environment, even though you didn't know it was coming. James, have you seen similar results over there at Consumer Optics?
No question. One of our new clients, the Hartford, started a study about the need for employees and consumers to engage digitally with the insurance distribution. They began it before COVID. We began working with them, and we just recently announced the launch of our new My Tomorrow product with the Hartford, and they started their study that showed that consumers and employees are demanding a more digital virtual experience. And then COVID happened. And then all of the data that they found, it just was exponentially increased. And at the end of the day, their study, which was published 2 weeks ago, and we're fortunate enough to be a part of that in terms of bringing the solution to the marketplace with the Hartford, has shown that yes, COVID has impacted business transactions in insurance unequivocally, but that was already starting. This was a motion, an inertia that was already going on, and I do feel that we're in the right spot, as you said, Tim, we're in the right spot at the right time with the right solution to capture this opportunity.
Well said, James, and it's exciting times for not only BrokerTech Ventures, but everybody in the InsurTech space. So thank you so much, guys, for coming on the Zoom call today. I know you probably have a million Zoom calls on the calendar, so thanks for doing one more with us here at the BrokerTech Ventures Storyteller Series. It's been fun meeting you all, and best of luck.